me. Ooh, 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 ooh.
Hi, I'm Andy.
I'm Karen.
And we are Defiant Monkey Improv, and this is the Elements of Improv, our series of short videos on different elements of improv.
Ooh, ooh, ooh.
Karen?
Pick me.
All right, well, I don't know if you can guess what we're going to talk about today, but we are going to talk about getting volunteers as our cat pushes out the thing holding the door open for them. So, Karen.
Yes?
What are some suggestions on how to get volunteers?
Just get them.
Yeah. Go out there and grab them.
Yeah, we use a lot of volunteers because we're a 2-person improv group. So maybe you don't use so many, or maybe you're just, I don't know, doing scenes without volunteers. But we use them for all sorts of things. Things that I hadn't thought that we'd use volunteers for because there's only 2 of us. We've had to. So we use them to help us run games. We use them on stage for things we didn't think. We use kids because we do a lot of kids shows. We use grown-ups. We've been places where there have been drunk people.
Yes.
Avoid the drunk people, if at all possible.
Now, of course, we don't know how you get volunteers, but perhaps you've noticed that if you are looking for volunteers and you say, well, who'd like to come up on stage with us and help us out with the next scene?
Chirp, 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 chirp. And everybody avoids your eyes and they shrink down. It depends on what kind of crowds you get, but if they're just like theater goers, they're going to avoid you and not want to go.
Yeah, most people don't like volunteering for things. So we have some suggestions on how to make this process easier. And the first thing we found out that has made things so much easier is don't ask for volunteers. Go out and get a volunteer.
So what's your name?
Andy.
Let's have a round of applause for Andy.
Ooh.
And Andy just gets up, and Andy has no idea what's happening. And we make Andy look good.
Yeah.
So when it doesn't matter the kind of person you get, you just look, you might eyeball them before the show or just while you're there and ask them and get them. Especially you're like, there's a big group that came in. I want to get one of the group. And this one is definitely not drunk, so I'm going to get this one. Also not with a kid in their lap or something. It's like get the mom of 2 little kids, and it's like, no, I can't leave. I've got 2 children. Yeah. That usually comes up at the library shows.
Another thing we do to help at the beginning of the show to make this process a little easier is when we're describing it, we say we make up scenes on the spot using suggestions and the occasional guest star from the audience. We don't even use the word volunteer because it like sets off alarm bells in people's heads, I think.
What else, Andy?
Well, there will be times when you need a specific type of volunteer.
Oh, yeah.
For example, if you're doing moving bodies, you want to perhaps ask for someone who is physically able, or is that how you?
It's like, we're going to need a couple physically fit people. Who does CrossFit?
Or if
we know you won't shut up about it, so let's see who you are.
Who's a vegan?
Yeah. Or,
if you're getting someone for
actor's nightmare.
Actor's nightmare.
I say, who out there thinks that they are a good reader? Because just grabbing somebody, first of all, they might not be a good reader. They might, maybe even English is their second language. They speak it real well. They don't read it. Maybe they're just a slow reader. They're embarrassed about it. Or they don't have their reading glasses. And if you ask who out there is a good reader, someone might go, oh, wait, I don't have my reading glasses. I will not raise my hand. So there's that. Or sometimes I might ask who out there thinks they have a nice, loud voice. Those people usually are very proud of being so loud, and they will raise their hands.
A couple of things to beware of. If you have someone who thinks they're a funny guy in the audience, and you can usually tell who they are, they don't usually make the best volunteers.
This goes out to all the people who say, you should pick my friend, this person here, pick this coworker because they're funny. Don't make us do that because they're the wrong person.
Yeah, it usually goes awry.
Yeah, because we don't need somebody who's funny, because whoever it is, they will be funny.
Yeah.
It just will be funny. We need somebody who can listen. And when somebody said, oh, this person is funny, this person now has so much pressure on them, they're going to probably try to be funny.
Yeah.
They're known to be funny. And I've had some lady who thought she was really funny. Her friends wanted her up there, and she came up and she didn't listen to anything. She completely didn't follow any directions, and therefore was frustrating and not funny.
A scene. Yeah, exactly.
So
also, if you get a volunteer up there and they just don't do as well as you had hoped they would, make them feel awesome anyway.
Yeah. We worked with a lady. Let's Dish. It wasn't for improv. It was for some kids shows.
Oh.
And
I know this story.
she wasn't great about liking children.
Yeah.
Or interacting with children or even smiling. So she got a kid to come up to act in this thing. And it did not matter what kind of kid. Because I was the one who had to act with them. I was the one who had to pretend. The kid had to make a noise like a bear. And so she would test him, was like, make a noise like a bear. And the kid just kind of stood there because he was terrified. It was a big thing. And she's like, don't raise your hand if you're not going to do what I ask. Now go back to your seat. Scarred for life.
Yeah.
You see, what I do is the kid doesn't make any noise. I pretend like he did. Or just like, ooh, that's a terrifying face. It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
You just, if it's a grown-up and they're just like, okay, well, the scene goes short a little bit, make it short. But they did a great job no matter what.
Yes.
And usually the volunteer games are kind of foolproof for volunteers. Yeah, help them.
Yeah.
There's lots of things to do. But make them look good and keep it short and pretend like they did good even if they didn't.
Yeah. And also, after they volunteer, a lot of times groups will give them a little souvenir of the show or something like that. We have stickers we give them, or buttons sometimes. If it's a private show and such, we have little small versions of this. Is the big one, little monkey. That's our logo monkey that we give them. Actually, one last thing that we should talk about too is kind of the flip side of this. If you are an improviser who is going to another group's show, the general rule should probably be don't shout out suggestions and don't volunteer in scenes. Unless, there's 5 people in the audience
and nobody's saying anything.
Nobody's saying anything or nobody's volunteering or anything like that. Then of course you want to do that. But as improvisers, we do this all the time. So the joy of having your suggestion used on stage or going up and being part of the fun should really be for the audience members who, to them, this is a special thing.
Yeah.
Bonus tip for
working with kids in the audience. There's a kid and he's out there and he seems really super energetic and he's bouncing in his seat and he won't sit down, and when he waves his hand, he's jumping up and down and waving and stuff and kicking, and don't take him. Don't take that kid. He's not going to stop.
No.
He's not going to listen.
Hey, kids, would you like to hear a horror story?
I would. Well, speaking of volunteers who don't listen and who also, I think she thought she was funny. I think that's how she got there. For chain murder, which is telephone, where you get the story suggestion, the 3 parts of a story, and pass it along, and using mime and gibberish. Well, she was briefed, So there's the improviser who stays in and gets it, then an improviser, then the volunteer, and then that volunteer's got to pass it to the last one. Well, she came out, she mimed, she gibberized the heck out of that, but did absolutely nothing she was given. Absolutely nothing. I have no idea what she did. She like made it up in her mind. She watched the person and then did nothing that they gave her, meaning the last two were wasted. And when she guessed, it was random. I mean, based on the first two guesses, she could have guessed something, but it was random. And I don't know why she thought it'd be funny. It was just terribly uncomfortable. That's why you don't grab somebody who says they're funny.
Yeah. Have your own horror story to share? Put it down in the comments. We'd love to read it.
Please do.
Yes.
Or tips of your own. Because we're a 2-person team. We have to use volunteers and have used them for strange things I never thought would be okay for, and they do great. So if you have something that is like, this uses a volunteer and is something unusual and surprisingly works well with one,
let us know.
Let us know. Or other tips for working with volunteers that we haven't said, let us know. And the horror stories.
Excellent.
Tell us how it went horribly awry.
Yeah. All right. Well, thank you so much for watching. I'm Andy.
I'm Karen.
This has been the Elements of Improv. We would love to have you subscribe to our channel. You can click on the little subscribe thing that should be there, or check out one of our other videos, which is probably blocking a good portion of my body. Also, especially now because we are in the middle of the COVID-19 pandemic and all of our venues have closed. If you feel like supporting us and you can do that, I'll be putting the link down in the description. Please help us out if you can. If you can't, that's fine. We put these videos up just to be informative and to help you take your improv to the next level. So that's it for us. Thank you, be well, and happy improvising.